What is going on, everybody? My name is Suge, and it's another Saturday, and we are here with the Step Back with my good friend Josh. Josh, how you doing? We're close to Christmas. How's the
Doing,
holidays treating you?
doing great as long as the Knicks hold on to this lead right now. At the moment, we're up by 12 with 2 minutes, so knock on wood, we should be fine. But so far, it's been good to be a Knicks fan. A very early returns. I'm very optimistic about this team's chances.
There you go. It's always great to have you here. Hope everyone is having a great Saturday. Appreciate everybody stopping by. This is the Step Back. We have some good discussion going on today with some trades, talking about Giannis, Chris Paul, what happened to him, and some other interesting comments from a NBA's current agent. We're going to talk about all of that. So really appreciate you. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the video, share that we're live. Really appreciate it. If you're looking for any of the links for all the shows or to help us out with trying to grow the channel, they are in the description. Put there by the amazing, wonderful Adelia, who's in the chat, who was letting you guys know we have minor technical difficulties because I'm trying to use a new headset. And hopefully it works. If you hear all that noise in the background, it's my son doing dishes. My apologies. Gotta make sure these kids are doing their job. But really appreciate everybody being here. And let's get it started, Josh. Let's get to our first topic, which is Chris Paul released by the Clippers. Um, Not kind of a surprise, but a little bit of surprise. Chris had came back to the Clippers. Obviously, the days of Lob City, where he played with Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. Came back to the Clippers. The Clippers were, kind of a mess already, but he came back only averaging 2.9 points, 1.8 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and 32.1 field goal shooting. Not great numbers, not great numbers at all. Um, let's just start off with it. Do you think that Chris Paul should just hang him up, or should he continue in the NBA?
Well, he did, I think, announce earlier this season that this would be his last season, and I think this was supposed to be kind of like a kind of last go around the league, unless I'm misremembering it. But I believe he announced this would be his last season, and he was going to end it with the team that he's the most well known for, had the most playoff, you can argue, success. And it's weird to see this happen because, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Chris Paul is maybe the greatest Clipper player to ever the
I
greatest
was,
Clipper player in their history. So to see
yeah,
them not only release him, but release him in Atlanta at like midnight, it is just a rough. It's kind of rough for Chris Paul. I mean, uh, we've heard a lot of things about the behind the scenes with Chris Paul about how he can sometimes be a tough teammate even when you're winning. So to have Chris Paul on your team when you're losing a lot is already a little tough. So that's probably a bit of the reason is that like there's probably a bit of personality. I think there's a quote that Chris Paul said where he hasn't spoken to Ty Lue in like months despite being on the team, which is
crazy.
that I hope that's not normal. But then again, it's at that point Chris Paul was like not getting minutes really. He was like the 12th guy or on the bench or something like that, getting, as you said, like 2 points a game. I'm just shocked when this is already a lost season that the Clippers do this to their best player in the franchise history. And it says something about the Clippers organization, where they're at, how disastrous of a start to the season is, but it also says how tough Chris Paul can be in the locker room, sadly.
Yeah, for sure. And I think my question was more toward this year, finishing up this year,
Yeah.
where he would probably end up. Chris Paul, obviously, I believe he'll be a Hall of Famer. Like you said, probably one of the best, probably the best Clipper player ever. Um, but it was just kind of sad to see it. I think this goes back to kind of the Paul Pierce thing and how Draymond Green told him, "You're not Kobe Bryant. Not everybody loves you." And I think it's kind of the same for Chris Paul. As great as he's been in the Clippers organization, it's always dwarf. Um, it's always eclipsed by the Lakers. And what kind of is funny is he was supposed to go to the Lakers, and I think if that had happened, the trajectory would be different, and I think he would get a swan song like a Kobe Bryant if that had happened. But unfortunately, it didn't, and he ended up with the Clippers. Now had success, like you said, in Lob City. When had success in New Orleans when they were the Hornets. Bounced around here and
Had
there.
some success with Houston and James Harden as well. It's eclipsed by
Yeah,
the Warriors, but had a very I think the his Houston Rockets with James Harden took the Warriors, like gave the Warriors as tough as they can give, basically when at their prime.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, he's one of the best point guards to ever play the game. I don't know if
Absolutely.
you put him top five, but he's pretty up there. He's definitely top 10. Um, but when you look at it, like you said, the difficulty that people have said they've had issues with him and playing with him. He was in Phoenix. That team was supposed to be a really good team,
And they
didn't
made the
get
finals, by
far.
the way. They didn't. They
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 didn't.
didn't make
They didn't make the
the
finals.
finals with him,
So
and he was an important player on that finals team.
yeah. So you kind of wonder what happened behind the scenes with the Clippers. Um, I think it's unfortunate because he should be able to finish out of here as a Hall of Fame player, but he's not going to unless he gets signed by another team. But is another team going to want to bring that distraction onto their team, or what are you bringing in for? Is he going to be a starting point guard? Is he going to be a vet coming off the bench? Is that what he's going to want? We don't know. And I don't know if he would be a vet. I think he would want a starting position. And there's not a lot of teams I could see maybe outside of the Mavs, maybe the Bulls or the Bucks bringing in a vet to kind of help them a
I
little bit.
I could also see possibly like a young team that is maybe overachieving, and him to be like a veteran presence to like kind of for the young guys be like, oh, this is an example. Because I think the problem with the Clippers was not only was he like a veteran presence on the bench, that's a team where they had no young players for him to be a good example for in a way. It's tough to be like the veteran presence or the leadership when you're not getting minutes, and also everyone there is like in their 30s type
Yeah,
of thing where they've already had careers, like type of thing. But it is good to also mention. I want to say this: Chris Paul's going to be, in my opinion, probably around one of the 30, 40 best players of all time. He's an incredible player. He was incredibly fun to watch, and there were a lot of turning point moments in the playoffs that sadly just did not swing his way. Like there was that brutal collapse when they lost to the Rockets when they were up 3-1. I think he's had
mhm.
multiple 3-1 collapses, which is a bit rough. I remember there was a specific one against the Thunder where he had like a 15 or 30 seconds that were absolutely brutal, where he had a turnover to a badly timed turnover. I think he fouled Russ on a three, which led to an OKC comeback. It's just rough. But that the playoff success was never there. But he truly was an incredible player, and because he's going out this way, maybe some people won't remember it like that. But he's no doubt a Hall of Famer, a top 40 player, and we'll see if there's a place for him to go. Maybe also the Suns, where they're a little overachieving. They're also a little young, and he did have success with that organization with Devin Booker. But even if he doesn't, I think like we'll see. I mean, at this point now, he's got nothing to lose now that he's been cut by the Clippers, and he can just hang it up and be happy. And if a team gives him a call, he can also do that. And anything now is just cherry on the top because he is already a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's flip it to the other side of the coin. When you say Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Bradley Beal, Zubac, Brick Lopez, Nicholas Batum, these are Chris Dunn. These are all guys that have been in the NBA. They've had success. What happened? Because they are right now the 6-19, the second worst team in the West, and third worst team, probably around the tied for third worst team in all of the NBA. What has happened to the Clippers that when you have that group of talent that they're just not able to put it together? We know Ty Lue is a finals coach. He's won the finals. He's led the team to the finals. He's got that pedigree. Why can't they put it together? What is going on with them?
I think it's the stagnation is the problem when the entire NBA is getting better and younger and improving in a way, especially in the West, where certain teams like the Spurs and the Suns, who weren't good last year, are starting to be in that playoff hunt right now. And you have the Clippers, who, to be honest, other than adding a couple of veterans, kind of have been the same for a lot of their run. And, with small iterations, of course. It was Kawhi and Paul George. Now it's Kawhi and James Harden, but in general, especially when you can't rely on Kawhi to be healthy and you're relying a lot on older players, Brook Lopez, like you said, all these players have been around the league and been in the league for a while. You don't have a lot of youthful energy. You're in a very competitive West. And I think this team also probably is going to have a hard time because none of us believe that they're anywhere, even if, let's say, let's flip it. Let's say they had the Suns record. They were 14 and 11 or they're like the 5 or 6 seed. I don't think anyone would be taking them seriously as a legitimate Thunder finals competitor, no matter the record, because of we've seen this with the Kawhi Clippers, and that has to affect inside the building. If everyone thinks that way outside the building, they're old and they didn't get better enough, and the rest of all their competitors did. All their competitors took a leap forward, and they just stayed the same. And you can't do that in the NBA.
Yeah, and I think expectation wise, I mean, even if they were, if we didn't expect them to scare anybody or be in that, how can, like, 6-19? I don't think any of us saw that coming. And we're starting to get later in the season. It just doesn't get easier. Like teams that I feel, and this is just me, when you see a team start like that, I don't see them coming out of it because there's
Or if
not
they
really, because
do, if they
it
do, then
rarely, but they
they're
rarely
not going
do
to
though.
be in the top four. They're going to be in the play-in, and that's already rough.
Yeah, for sure. And when you're looking at this team again, like you have guys that are championship pedigree, but they're not being able to put it together. It's very concerning because what you just said about a young team needs to rely on veterans to kind of pull it together. Well, you have a team with all veterans. So what's the problem? You say it's maybe they didn't get younger, um, which is true. Obviously, health wise, Kawhi is always hurt. There's always an issue there. I think maybe style wise, Lou just doesn't have the guys to play his style. He has a lot of one on one basketball players like a James Harden. I mean, we've heard it before and people get upset, but like James Harden's style, a lot of people don't believe it can win a championship. And outside of those OKC days, he hasn't really proven he can get to that level. He can get you maybe into the past the first round. I don't recall if he's been out the first round, but probably has. But outside of that, he doesn't get much farther. So is it
Well, he did a bit
that
when he was
for
in
sure?
Houston, but that was a different time.
But like what did they get to, like the second round?
No, they've been in the conference finals. Like at
Okay,
least
I
when
don't
the
know.
Warriors, they would be the team that the Warriors would normally beat in the conference finals when they were
Okay. I
so
just
like
I don't remember. See, but that's sad because I don't remember them playing in the Western Conference Finals.
I know at least once. I know at least once or twice.
Okay.
They have. It might have been also the Durant Warriors. So when the Durant Warriors played a team in the conference finals, it was like, well, you're not actually beating the Durant
Yeah.
Warriors. But I think they put up a good fight or two. I think the issue is James Harden missed his chance. I also think something that's very underrated that isn't talked about a lot is we're not talking about the loss of Norman Powell. And that sounds
Mhm.
crazy to say, but Norman Powell was really, really good for that team, and they traded him away, and they didn't see the loss as much at the end of last year. But I think now that we're seeing the delayed effect of like Norman Powell was important for that team, and now he's on the Heat and he's balling out, and the Clippers just don't have that juice at the moment. And I think what's also interesting to say is like you can't have too many young players without enough vets because then the young players don't know how to win, and you need someone in the locker room or two to be able to teach the young players how to win and how to be a professional. However, I think this goes the other way around. You can't have all vets. If you have all vets, I think it's going to be very difficult to win. You need a couple of people who are younger and almost don't know how
Mhm.
to. how to be afraid in those moments, who have an excitement, and there's like when you have all vets, it can also be a bit jaded. And I think that's what we're seeing with the Clippers is that they are at the moment a bit jaded.
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you think moving forward is going to be the Clippers' plan? Because again, they have Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, who are two great players in their own right, but they're getting up there in age. Bradley Beal, same thing, decent player. Brooke Lopez, so are you in the realm of shopping players? Do you shop Kawhi? Do you shop James Harden? Do you try to go younger? Do you bring somebody in? Because it would be, we could say, well, bring in a second superstar, see if you can turn it around. Well, they have two superstars, and it's not working. So, what do you think their plan is moving forward for the rest of the season and going into next year?
So what I would do is I would blow it up, and I sometimes to a fault will say blow it up. I'm just kind of done with the Kawhi Clippers era. I don't think you're going to get anything from it. At most, you might get a four seed and maybe win a playoff series, but I don't think, especially in this West, I don't think this version of the Clippers has much of a future. However, I think the Clippers are going to hold on to this as much as possible because of how their relationship with the Lakers. I think if they start bottoming out, they're afraid that like what little fans they have is going to switch to the Lakers or move. They'll lose all the momentum they've been trying to build up and trying to be the competitor to the Lakers. It's one of those things where it's like if I were them, I would just be like, not working. Let's just get rid of the old talent, try and get as young as possible. It's just not going to work with Harden and Kawhi. But I think they're afraid to be one of those teams that's the worst in the league. They're afraid to be Wizards bad or Hornets bad. So they're going to hold on, I think, to this mediocrity or almost shoot for the mediocrity. And I don't think that's the correct thing to do, but I think that's the most likely thing for them to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe give up a little on this season and then maybe do some trades, but then like try and retool around. Maybe they trade Harden, they keep Kawhi, try and get a younger, not star, but someone who they can get. I don't know, just to throw out a name, maybe Jalen Green from the Suns or something like that. Maybe Jaden Ivey from the Pistons, and be like, okay, we have a young up and coming player. We're going to have a top 10 pick, and we're going to have Kawhi. And with that, we can maybe build a roster and retool to be somewhat competitive. Okay, I'll take that. I will take that.
Mhm.
All right, listen,
Yeah.
we're in NBA Cup Finals. We're basically the two seed at the moment. I'm feeling good as the Knicks fan. Just sorry about the sidetrack, but like
No,
I'm
no,
feeling.
no. It's all good, all good. And we'll find out who they play, right, between the
Yes, the
Spurs
game's
and
about to start probably soon between the Thunder and the Spurs. No offense to the Spurs, but probably the Thunder based on the tear they're going. Which, by the way, NBA Finals preview between the Thunder and the Spurs. I mean, Knicks, Thunders and the Knicks. So, and that'll be exciting to see. And hopefully the Knicks can prove that we can hang with the Thunder because I think we actually have everyone's already pre-writing the Thunder championship this year, and for good reason. They're having an amazing start to the season. But as a delusional Knicks fan, I think we can hang. I think we can hang with the Thunder for a 7-game series.
where you guys seated at right now? Let's check. Hold up real quick.
I'm pretty sure we're two.
You are too. Yeah. Pistons still holding on. All right. Yeah. Outside of that, do you have anything else to say about the Chris Paul and Clippers issue?
I think it's a little sad, but I think this might be a wake up call for both parties. I think if I were Chris Paul, I would just hang it up. I wouldn't. I would enjoy retirement life, become maybe start a career as an analyst or something like that. Everyone's getting a podcast he can maybe get, but just enjoy. You know, just hang out with the family a bit. You've made so much money, and you're going to get a Hall of Fame career. Like it's sad that it ended this way, but I truly love watching Chris Paul when he was with the Clippers. I think those Clippers teams were fun and got a bad rap in some moments just because of the really bad playoff losses. And it was Chris Paul's just one of those players that I loved and will never get the recognition that he will probably deserve because of that so many playoff collapses and the monkey on the back. But also, should quickly say it's amazing someone of his height was able to be so good in the NBA. There's not
Yeah,
a
for
lot of
sure.
players that tall that have been that good.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I absolutely agree with you. He should probably hang it up. I don't think he needs to come back. I don't think he has anything to prove. I just say, as a Laker fan, had Davis Stern not stopped that trade, what would have happened? What would have happened? That's all I'm gonna
One
say.
of the great NBA what ifs. I feel like you could probably write a whole essay on like if this happens and actually LeBron doesn't go to the Lakers, da da da, or da 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 da. Like it would be very interesting.
Jay saying the Lakers would take Derek Jones off the Clippers' hands so he can rightfully play with next to Luka again. Plus, he can show I can't pronounce that name how to be an athletic freak of a nature and shoot the three. Okay.
Knicks might also. I'm also like I feel like we could use one more wing if Derek Jones is available. Maybe the Knicks might be able to get him, but we'll be talking a lot of trade talk. So we got a lot of trade talk coming up.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is, and shout out to Jay because he is a Laker fan like myself. Rich Paul. Um, look, you just said it right now. Everybody has a podcast, and Max Kellerman has come out of hiding with his podcast, and he had Rich Paul on.
Okay,
And
let me just quickly correct you. This is a Max Kellerman and Rich Paul podcast. This isn't
oh,
Rich Paul.
they're doing it.
They're just going to be together for every single podcast. This is a
Oh, wow,
co-production.
this is even worse. This is even worse. But they were on the podcast and they were talking about, Rich Paul was making some comments where he stated that the Los Angeles Lakers are not currently contenders, lacking depth and playoff style play to reach the Western Conference Finals. Um, Now, Rich Paul, you do know, is LeBron's agent. He also talked about possibly Giannis, the Bucks wanting to trade for Jalen Johnson, who is a client of his. Talked about LeBron's future, that he is going to try to finish this year out with the Lakers, even though there has been trade rumors. Um, I did not like this at all. I hated this. I understand sometimes you got that kind of power and you can strut it around, but this is the reason why I'm not the biggest fan of LeBron, because this isn't to me an agent talking as a fan or as an analyst. This is an agent talking for his client. It was clearly he was talking for his client because you've never seen an agent like say this kind of thing. You've seen players, which is rightfully so. They're allowed to say it. Superstar players, players say criticize the team for needing help or getting better production out of a team. But for a agent to come out and say this, um, I think first off, I know it's not against the rules, but there's a lot of client privilege being spatted out, right? Like saying, "Oh yeah, go after my guy Jalen Johnson, Giannis, or Bucks, trade Giannis for him." I think you'd be happy with it. Like that's just an agent trying to get his guy paid. Talking about the current Laker team, some of the remarks he said about Austin Reeves, I just think we're way out of line, and he shouldn't be on a podcast talking. Now I'm not gonna say he shouldn't be, but your current client's playing for that team and you're saying things about players, individual players. This almost feels like LeBron has talked to you and so you're talking for him, and I didn't like it. Um what are your thoughts so far about this?
I didn't mind it as much. I listened to the full basically clip. I basically put up the podcast, put my headphones on, and listened to the not the full podcast because they spent the first like I think 35 minutes talking about the Chiefs. And no offense to Rich Paul, I don't really need to hear his thoughts about the Kansas City Chiefs and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
so I listened to the Lakers stuff. It's very interesting because the beginning of the Lakers talk is actually it almost seems like he's going anti LeBron, where he's talking about the Lakers didn't build a championship culture because they cater to their stars too much, which is a very weird stance for him to take. And Max Kellerman did call him out, like, "Oh, you're saying that the Lakers should have said no to LeBron a couple times." And then they get into the talk about the LeBron stat padding, about the 10-point game streak. And Rich Paul is like, admittedly, like not doing the best job of doing damage control there, where he's trying to be like, oh no, it's good that JJ Redick, but also trying not to be anti LeBron in that moment. So I don't have any problem with it because first off, the reason why we don't hear agents do this type of thing is because they don't have the power to. The only person who has the power and the name recognition and the one that people would actually want to hear and would cause whose comments would cause this type of thing is Rich Paul because he's this famous. I also think that like I don't mind them doing this because it's like all this is to your own detriment. Like being on this podcast, all you're doing is maybe hurting yourself a little. But I also kind of thought when I was listening to this podcast, I'm not even sure if this podcast is for Rich Paul trying to speak for LeBron. It almost looks it's like Rich Paul trying to set up himself for a post LeBron world where he's not going to be where LeBron is not in the NBA anymore and he still has to be an agent basically and he still has to be within the NBA and he still has to be a big name. To me, I think all this does is hurt Rich Paul. Like these types of podcasts, like I think similarly about the Micah Parsons podcast. It's like good for you. You want to have a podcast, you want to have your thoughts good. However, this might sound silly, but doing podcasts and being a person in the media is really, really hard. It's also going to be really, really hard when you have all the added commitments as a player, as an agent, as a coach, whatever you are, if you're trying to do both at the same time. And even the people who are doing podcasts full time have trouble juggling the words to say to speak, not even like politically like make friends, but also to like say the right thing. It's very difficult in this form to like able to say what you mean in here out here and have it come out in a way that isn't going to cause a problem with your relationships with the people you cover, stuff like that. So like sure you could do this. And I also, by the way, his comments, he's not really wrong in anything he said. The Lakers you can make the argument. I don't think he really said Austin Reeves should come off the bench. It was more of a comment about comparing him to Ginobili. I don't think it makes sense for Austin Reeves to come off the bench. I think that was a silly thing to add on. But I think that was more of a Max what's his name?
Max Kellerman.
I think that was more Kellerman saying it more than Rich Paul. But I didn't hear the Jalen Johnson stuff, so I do think that was a little weird for him to say, but it's also probably hard when you're in the podcast forum to keep yourself, oh, I actually shouldn't say this. And this is Rich Paul's first time doing this type of thing when it's less controlled. Because he was in that like barbershop thing I think LeBron was doing, but this is going to be harder to control yourself there. So it is what it is. But I mean, a lot of his comments, like the Lakers at the moment aren't championship contenders when you're looking at the OKC Thunder and the Denver Nuggets, in my opinion. That's what I spent a lot of last episode saying. And I think he says they aren't right now, but they could be with maybe some adjustments. And we'll see what those adjustments is. I know he's probably a lot of people are viewing this as like, oh, LeBron wants another trade or something. I think part of it is coaching adjustments. Like, for example, he specifically said one of the things that would help the Lakers become championship contenders if they start using LeBron more in the pick and roll as a screener and as someone who rolls instead of Aiden, basically, which was, I think, a very interesting comment because that's another thing of asking LeBron to do something that's not really he's known to do. He's normally the ball handler, or he's someone who will have the ball. Like it would be a much more minimized role, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Josh, but at the same time, this team prior to that had won some games. You know, they were I believe 4-2 at that time. They had started building some chemistry, and you say this, and the next game they get blown out, and they had everybody playing. LeBron was playing, Luka was playing, everybody was playing, and they get blown out. Let me ask you this question: would JJ Redick know more basketball than Rich Paul?
Yeah, I would say so. And I do think like the biggest problem is like a lot of the comments that are kind of somewhat jabby towards JJ is like probably and I'm not even saying that he's correct in a lot. I think they are in championship contenders and I think he's speaking plainly with that. I think some of the other comments are a little extra, but again, what in my view, this hurts Rich Paul more than it hurts the Lakers. like doing this type of stuff and saying this stuff and being on this podcast, which already has like 3 episodes, I think, by the way. So
Mhm.
like 3 hours of Rich Paul and Max Kellerman talking basically about all sports and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. To me, it's just like all this doing is hurting Rich Paul. And if Rich Paul wants to do this to make himself more of a brand, sure, go ahead, try and thread that needle. But like, you're also opening yourself up to a lot of risks, and a lot of new clients might look at Rich Paul and it's like, I don't want to go to you when you're going to air me out on a podcast.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what I reason I bring up JJ versus with basketball knowledge is I get what you're saying. Maybe putting LeBron in the pick and roll, but we got to remember LeBron is 40 years old. You have to tailor this team to you, your two stars. You know, one of them you could say is not a star, but your two best players right now, which is Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic. Luka being your number one, Austin Reeves being your number two, and then you got to find a little bit more of a pecking order. I don't believe LeBron is their. I believe he's not their third best player. He might be fifth, even though he is LeBron James. He can't play at the level he has played at in recent years. And so, as a coach, you can't feed into his ego as well keep a team competitive. And I think
That's
the
where
problem,
I would slightly disagree because I'm just wondering how much
yeah.
he's holding in the tank for the games that really matter and type of thing. And maybe now he's their fifth best player, but I don't even know. Like other than
Well,
Andrew,
this is why I disagree with you because there was an incident. I believe it happened to be who did they lose to? I think because they had lost their game, they got blown out.
the Suns,
The Suns, yes, the Suns. They were running a play for LeBron, and
yeah,
he's in the corner talking to the bench of the other team, laughing it up, da da da. And JJ calls a timeout. You're supposed to be this great all time player. Not everyone's going to have killer instinct, whatever you want to call it, but you're supposed to show that it cares. Now, I understand it's early in the season, but you're trying to build chemistry. You were just out how many weeks, and this team built chemistry. You come back, and now the chemistry is kind of funky again. And like I said, it's no coincidence that the Spurs blew out the Lakers in the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. They looked completely off. And so, yes, these comments might not be a big deal as far as outside noise, but how does Austin Reeves feel now? You know, a guy that like confided in LeBron, a guy that has LeBron has said, "Oh, this is a good player, and I could I could trust him." You now have this agent of the guy that you think is your boy saying these things about you. How do we not know LeBron hasn't told him these things? You know,
absolutely.
and,
Like
and then how and then how and then real quick, how do you has LeBron approached JJ and say, "Hey, maybe we should do this with me rather than this"? Because if he hasn't, this also sets a bad precedent of, well, I'm not going to come to you and tell you I have a problem with this. I'm going to just have my agent say it out in the public, so that way I could be just like, oh, I never said that. Like it's a bad look on LeBron to me.
I get that, and like the two things I would say is first off, the funny thing is that like Rich Paul and Max Kellerman do talk in that podcast about that specific blowout with the Suns and the fact that JJ got mad at LeBron, and they were like, I think there was a moment where they were commending JJ's like, yes, you should have gotten mad at LeBron, type of thing, which again makes me wonder how much of Rich Paul is being an earpiece and how much is Rich Paul like trying to actually break into this podcast thing, like
Mm.
like not that have this kind of set him up in a way to be post LeBron and try and like build his brand up in a way that like he can maybe build more clients because he's being like, oh, he's being honest and he's willing to say anything on the. I don't know. I don't really understand the business strategy of that, but Rich Paul knows way more about business than me, is what I'll say. And the reason why I don't mind this is I agree with you. I think this is a bad look for Rich Paul. I don't think this is a great look for LeBron or anyone he represents. I think this is hurting him. The Lakers, I think. this is going to sound maybe mean or not, but if you're a team that these types of comments are going to disrupt the chemistry or like make you lose or whatever, you're not a championship team, in my opinion. Like, I
100%.
think this type of and that's why I'm like with this Lakers team. By the way, also this is the Lakers LeBron relationship. We've talked about this a couple times. Very, very, very weird relationship. It's a
Hmm.
very it's not like an easy one. It's there was a whole book I remember that was just recently released about the whole Lakers for LeBron relationship. I wish I could remember the title or the person. Let me look it up really quickly. But there's a reason why the whole book was just written about this.
Well, yeah,
So,
because if you look at it as far as just the years that he's been here, like I'm not trying to blame LeBron for a lot of the issues, but like you said earlier, the Lakers have catered to LeBron. They given him Westbrook. They given him Anthony Davis. They signed Carmelo for him. They brought all these guys in that he wanted, and it didn't work out. Now you can say they won the championship in 2020, okay, but outside of that, it hasn't been successful. So now they bring in Luka Doncic, which and that's why I said I kind of this. It's a frustrating with LeBron because he was like, "Oh, I didn't even know this was happening." So they bring in Luca, another star. They get put out of the playoffs last year, but now he's come in shape. He's ready to play. He's ready to lead this team, and it almost feels like LeBron is like upset that he's being pushed to the side.
oh
Uh,
yes, and this is the Ferris's comment. This is the book I was thinking about, a Hollywood ending, the dreams and drama of LeBron and Lakers. I remember hearing very good things about that book, and they have like a lot of the some interesting stories about the LeBron and Lakers relationship that doesn't look great on Lakers or LeBron. So it's just a tough relationship. Anything that comes out on the LeBron camp feels kind of targeted at this moment because it's such a relationship. I'm not sure how it's going to end. I'm not sure this. I kind of agree. I don't think this team's a championship team, but I don't know what to do because I also am someone who's seen LeBron, and this is the first time he's really been bad in a way. LeBron, and it makes sense. He's 40 years old, but like
yeah.
normally, if LeBron's in the playoffs, I'm like, hey, listen, LeBron and Luka in the playoffs. I mean, it's tough to bet against that. And by the way, last year LeBron was a second team All NBA player. This is truly the first year where he's like the seventh player coming off the bench because of the injury and stuff like that. But like, this is the first time we're seeing LeBron actually be human.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Why as an agent are you making these comments? Like again, you might not be a championship team, but it's no coincidence that these comments were made, and then all of a sudden, the Lakers look just so disjointed. Like they just did not play like the team that we had been watching the last couple of weeks, and it just seems like be you're LeBron James. You've been in the NBA for a long time. You have the pass that everyone will give you. If you have something to say it yourself. Why are you having your agent say it?
Well,
Like,
here's the question I have for you. Let's say your agent comes to you and is like, "Hey, I'm going to do a podcast with Max Kellerman or whatever, and I'm going to talk about it. I'll do my best." Da, da, da. Do you? Because I'm not 100% sure LeBron, because this doesn't really help LeBron. I don't think LeBron is as involved with what Rich Paul is saying. Maybe he said something in passing and Rich's which might be like I had a conversation with LeBron, and LeBron didn't tell him to say this in the podcast, but you're in the podcast world and you're just talking to Max Kellerman and you're making a point and you're remembering something LeBron said and you just bring it up. It's like I don't think LeBron is trying to use this podcast to put any agendas. Maybe that's just me being naive. I think, and if you're LeBron, it's like if your agent who's done a lot for you is like, hey, I'm going to want to do this podcast. What are you going to do? And like, especially, and if he's saying this type of stuff, you can beat him. And it's like, hey, man, I don't love what you're saying about this, but like, you're not going to be able to talk publicly about it and try and bash your own agent publicly. And it puts LeBron in a rough situation. So I'm not 100% sure if this is on LeBron. It might be, but like, it's just a rough look for Rich Paul to do this podcast, and that's why I don't care about it as much because it's like if you want to do this, that's okay, but that's going to hurt you and your clients most likely. That's the people who are getting hurt the most, honestly, on this podcast. Would you disagree?
I disagree because I would agree with you if he had just done the podcast and said like little things. But you're bringing up like okay, so here's the thing. I, this summer, Lakers made moves. They brought in Marcus Smart. They brought in all these guys. There's no way you cannot tell me that the Lakers did not call LeBron and say, "Hey, we're planning on bringing this person in. We're planning on bringing this person in. We're trading for this person. We're bringing this person in. Is that cool with you? Give us your thoughts." For
You
them,
see,
Rich Paul,
I
I
wonder about that because now this is Luka's team. I wonder if they're giving that call to Luka instead of LeBron at this point because they didn't call LeBron on
so
the Luka
okay,
trade.
so there you go. That makes it even more sus that his agent would say, "Well, they're not playoff caliber."
Oh, he
Like
didn't say
why?
that. He said these are not championship caliber.
Okay, championship caliber.
Yeah,
But these are moves that the Lakers made to be championship caliber. Why would an agent come out and say, "Well, that's not championship caliber moves"? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if the Lakers felt these were good moves to make, and I think they're very strong moves because you got to remember the Lakers outside of the Thunder and the Nuggets, the Lakers are probably the third best team with the Rockets. We don't know; they're up and down. Okay, with the roster they constructed, that's not bad for a team that had been not had prior years been like the AC playing in the play-in. So now you're talking about you're the third to fourth best team in the West with these moves. Is LeBron not happy that he didn't get a call? Is LeBron not happy that he wasn't consulted and Luka was, or if we even know that?
if
You know,
yeah, we don't know
and
that.
and like I just said, prior to these years, they've given everybody LeBron has wanted. Okay, and I hate to bring it up, but Bronny is a waste of space on the Lakers. But they drafted him. They gave him a contract. They did that for LeBron. You cannot tell me no different. There's no way you're going to tell me that the Lakers saw Bronny and said, you know what, that guy's an NBA player. You just can't. They've catered to him so much, and now that they stopped catering to him, does he now feel some type of way?
Maybe
Because
I don't know the behind the scenes on that type of stuff. Well, I'll quickly say is I don't really care that much about the Bronny thing because it's a second round pick. Most second round picks are like taken just for cash considerations or two way players or whatever. I would even say that Bronny's kind of been more successful than most second round picks. It's one of those things where I don't know if how much LeBron is saying in the ear of Rich Paul and causing these comments. But like in the end, everyone's allowed to have this opinion, go on a podcast, do whatever they want. I don't think it's helpful for anyone. I don't understand why Rich Paul would choose to do this. But in the end,
is it going to force the Lakers' hand?
I don't think so because he said that LeBron's going to, in his mind, LeBron's staying there the entire year.
I mean, LeBron, they can say that. They can say that all day. He could be like, "Oh no, you don't know what they're actively doing behind the scenes. You don't know if
I,
Rich Paul's reaching out to teams because I'm sure we have the whole no trade cause and a lot of players and things like that. I can 100% see LeBron saying, "Yeah, I want to be traded back to Cleveland because I want to finish
well,
my
I
career."
think if he's going to do that, I think he would go in free agency. Like I think if he's going to do that type of thing, he's going to do it at the end of the year, where the team doesn't have to give up anything for him versus like a midseason trade.
Maybe I don't know. I've a lot of people that I know who are LeBron haters have seen this. They have said they've seen this type of behavior where he's gone to a team, they strip him of all their young talent, try to make it a championship team, and then LeBron's like, "All right, I'm out," and they're left of like a hollowed out husk of what they used to be. Now, luckily, the Lakers are smart and got Luka, you know, before LeBron leaves, so they have that superstar. Because let's be honest, if they were left with Anthony Davis, how competitive would the Lakers
They
be?
really sold high on that one. Seeing how many games Davis has missed since like that trade.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I just didn't like it. I mean, you're right. You can do whatever you want, but if I and the fact that LeBron hasn't even came out and said anything, like I said, there's no coincidence to me that the Lakers the next game after this all came out played horrible and they just did not look disjointed. They didn't. They looked so disjointed from each other compared to what they had been playing
I
before.
get what you're
So
saying. Like to me, this is like shooting yourself in the foot, and anyone's allowed to shoot themselves in the foot. I don't understand why you're doing it. I also just don't think I think LeBron's smart enough to like not have Rich Paul air out his dirty laundry through the Max Kellerman podcast. I did this. Rich Paul and Kellerman decided to, if anything, this helps more Rich Paul because he's like getting clicks on the podcast. He started with Max Kellerman that has sponsors and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like it doesn't make sense to me why they would do it, but if they wanted to do it, sure. And in the end, like a lot of the things he said, like is kind of annoying. It's like little jabs, but I don't think that they're huge deals because a lot of it is like, yeah, they really aren't championship contenders at the moment, if we're being honest. And like some of the comments were a little weird. I think the Austin Reeves comments were weird, but there's also kind of like listening to the whole thing. There were a couple of like moments where there were slight jabs at LeBron, honestly, in that podcast, which was a little weird. Or like Rich Paul started something up, and Kellerman would be like, "Oh, that's interesting. You say that because LeBron doesn't." And Kellerman Paul would kind of back up, but it's like the general point he's making is more of an anti-LeBron comment if you think about it, which is
well,
again a little weird. But like I don't know.
to me, the best way to um, deniability is, hey, I'll throw little jabs at you so that way nobody will suspect that I'm talking
I,
for you.
I,
That means I'm just saying, you're saying LeBron's smart. That would be smart. Like throw some jabs at me, nobody will expect
I
suspect.
guess I just feel that feels like one of those moves there. It's like you're playing 9D chess, and it's like okay, but instead, why don't we just do the normal thing? Like that feels like the easier thing to do. It's just overthinking, and maybe you're right. Maybe this is a maybe LeBron does have his hands on it. Maybe Rich Paul is trying to angle for his client or for the Lakers to do something. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like there's a lot of benefits to this, and this feels more the spontaneity of these podcasts. Like I don't think Micah Parsons is very when he's on the Micah Parsons podcast or Draymond Green when he's on the Draymond Green podcast are very like thoughtful or targeted in their comments during the podcast. In fact, I think the people who are the most targeted and thoughtful are probably the Kelsey brothers on their podcast because they don't say anything really, and they are very very keen on making sure they don't ruffle any feathers and they don't say anything that could hurt their team, which is a good thing. But that does feel more calculated to me than anything these other podcasts that make missteps do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're passionate, a passionate player, you're going to say things that sometimes you shouldn't probably say. So I agree
Yeah,
with you there.
yeah.
But also, that comes off real. Like if LeBron did a podcast, like he does his podcast with
Steve
it used
Nash.
to be with JJ and now it's Steve Nash. But if he came out and just said things like, I don't feel we're this team, and I feel like we need to add this, this, and this, I think people will respect him more because you're like, okay, you're being honest and open about it. And if it comes out that he was, doing this for, Rich Paul's doing this for him, or just any kind of inkling that this might be a tandem kind of thing, people are going to hate LeBron even more, and Laker fans are going to hate LeBron even more because It's funny because have you seen all these? And this kind of goes off into a tangent, but you see all these lists of like Laker greats, and Laker fans, LA Laker fans will tell you Kobe Bryant's number one, Magic's number two, and then maybe Kareem, Shaq, James Worthy. And people who are not Laker fans will put LeBron in like the top three, and Laker fans will tell them no, he's not loved like that in LA. And everyone would be like, "Well, why? Because he brought you a championship." But it's not even that. It's kind of the like how Jay said in the chat, the fakeness of him. Like he like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know we were trading for Luka. Oh, I didn't. Like it's
I actually don't
so.
think he knew they were training for Luka.
I don't believe that. I just can't. Like I just don't think they would do something without him knowing. I just don't
Yeah,
see that, especially the old regime, because this is the old regime prior to this new management that's about to take over. They've always consulted their players. As long as I've been a Laker fan, they consulted Kobe, they consulted Kobe for years because
I know, but the
you
Luka thing is very special because they were trying not to get that out because they needed to be the only team negotiating for Luka, and I actually think they were legitimately worried if they told LeBron, then Rich Paul would leak it out to someone, and then someone would steal that offer from them. I,
shit. And,
I
but see that, and that's even worse if you think that. That's even worse. Like
oh, I
if you
agree.
think it's just worse. But
But I think both sides, when it comes to LeBron and the Lakers, kind of view the worst of each other. And again, like I'm a LeBron fan. I enjoy watching him play. I think he's one of the greatest athletes of all time. I agree with you. He's not beloved like that with the Lakers, and he
and
probably never.
I think it bothers him. I think it bothers him a lot that he is
Yeah,
not
because probably in
beloved.
his mind, he's like, I brought you Anthony Davis. I won a championship for you guys. What's it called? I'm like I've done so much for, and I when I was scored my when I beat the scoring record, I was with the Lakers. Like it probably doesn't make sense to him, and the Lakers, it doesn't make sense to them. It's a very like again, I'm really thinking about buying that book because I've heard good things, a Hollywood ending. Because I'm really interested to hear some of the behind the scenes of the Lakers and LeBron stuff because I do think that relationship is kind of there, and I'm not sponsored
It's
or any.
toxic. It's toxic, huh?
Yeah, that's why I bet because I bet you there's I heard like one or two stories about the book, and I don't want to spoil anything. And I'm not sponsored by this book or anything. I'm just very interested in it because I think you're right. It is a very interesting relationship between the two, and like there's a reason LeBron is in love that way. There's a reason the Lakers. It's just it's it's something that's I don't know. It's very interesting, and LeBron probably made a bunch of mistakes and like you said, did some stuff that rubbed Lakers fans the wrong way. And there were some things that I think the Lakers fans would never wrap their arms around LeBron in that way, if that makes sense.
No, 100% makes sense. It's the bottom line. It's him versus Kobe, and
He was
they
never
love
going to be
Kobe.
Kobe for Lakers. He was never going to be.
Exactly. Exactly, and I think it bothers him that he's not loved, and I think it's kind of ruined the relationship between him and the Lakers.
Absolutely.
We spent a lot of time on this. Let's move on.
Yes.
I believe we're going to talk about Giannis. Okay, trade rumors swirling.
Yeah.
Can Milwaukee still contend?
Just hold on
Um,
1 second. I'll be right back.
yeah, sure. And as Josh has to go, uh, let's just remind everybody if you want to follow any of the other shows, or you want to follow our sister channel, or you want to know when Ferris will be on, the links are in the description. Click them. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. We really appreciate it. Welcome back, Josh. Hope
Yes.
everything's okay.
Yes, that
Um,
was good. My nose was running a little, so I just got a tissue quickly. I was like,
your nose was running. Did you catch it? Did it get
yes,
away?
I did catch
Okay.
it. I'm very fast.
All right. So, Giannis, trade rumors swirling around. Uh, we're obviously going to talk about trades in a minute, but right now the Bucks are 10. They're 11-15. I actually have them on. I will talk about that later, but a list that we did. Um, what do you think? I mean, do they make a move for another star? Because when you're looking at this roster, Miles Turner, Ryan Rollins, Kyle Kuzma, Cole Anthony, Kevin Porter Jr. Like, there's not a lot of there's no star of another star outside of Giannis. Um, obviously, he's not happy. He hasn't been happy the last couple of years, but he has been injured. Postseason has not been good. What do you think is the solution to the Bucks and Giannis? Do they trade him? Do they keep him? Do they try to get a new superstar, another superstar on the team, or what do you do? No, he does not. He
Listen,
does not.
I would love Giannis on the Knicks. I would. The issue is, and like, if I'm Milwaukee and I'm trading Giannis, I'm like, okay, this is a rebuild now. I'm not going to delude myself into thinking that we can maybe retool with the package we get and become contenders. We are now going to have to get young players, and the issue with the Knicks, and like the Knicks package would probably be like Cat plus 3 first round picks or OG plus Deuce and a couple first round picks. And like I know he wants to go to the Knicks, but if I'm Milwaukee, I'm like, I understand you want that, and I understand all you've done for a franchise. I'm a Knicks fan, and I would want Giannis on the Knicks, and I know that he wants to go to the Knicks. If I'm
Nobody,
Milwaukee, I'm like,
nobody wants to
wow.
go to the Knicks. Nobody wants to go to the Knicks. They tell you that, but they really don't.
If I'm Milwaukee, I'm like, the Knicks aren't offering a good enough package for me. Like I don't really need Cat because I need a younger player. I'm going to need to be on a younger timeline. Oh, I love OG. OG's like my favorite Nick at the moment, but OG's awesome on a contending team. The Bucks are not going to be a contending team, so like a lot of things that the Knicks can offer for Giannis, in my opinion, just like there's no reason for the Bucks to want that. There's a lot of teams that can offer stuff that will be much more appetizing for Giannis. Like the one that I go back to always is Houston. I think Houston is a very interesting team in the Giannis trade discussions. If they're willing up to give Şengün or willing to give up Amen Thompson, like the Şengün trade would be Şengün, Fred VanVleet, and they can give up I think 3 to 4 firsts. So like being able to get a young player who might be, and I think Şengün's absolutely awesome. A player, if you can get a player like Şengün back or someone with the potential of Amen Thompson, those are both awesome, awesome returns for Giannis. Another one is the Spurs, where if you can get one of those young, promising guards like Stephen Castle, that would be a really good get back for Giannis because the Spurs can give Castle, Barnes plus like 4 picks. Um, there's even one with the Hawks, but I don't love the Hawks package. You'd get Trey Young and Zachary Ricochet and maybe a couple picks. But like I'm not a Trey Young fan, obvious reason I'm a Knicks fan. But and I do agree, OG Anunoby, one of the best names in basketball. Dude's awesome. I love watching him play. I cannot say enough good things. I actually would rather give up Cat than give up OG. I would really not want to give up OG in a Giannis trade, but if we get Giannis, is what it is. I don't know how you feel about the show, but like the way I view it, if I'm the Bucks and I'm like, this isn't working, Giannis is going to want out. We want to do right by him. However, we have to get on a new timeline. We are not going to win in the next 2 or 3 years. We need to get a young player who, and he won't become Giannis, but if he can come a top 15 player in the league, and we get a good draft pick, and we are maybe able to hit on a draft pick, it's I do agree they can have Cat. I will absolutely give up Cat for Giannis. I just don't think why would the Bucks want Cat? I don't know. What do you think, Shug?
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, there's not a lot out there outside of the teams you mentioned. I definitely don't want to see him go to the Knicks because I do not want to see Ferris happy. I don't mind you seeing you happy, but I don't want to see Ferris happy. But I think I think if Giannis is going to get traded, he's going to get traded to a contender. I don't think he's going to
You
get
know,
traded to a team that's not at least
or
top.
that can delude themselves into being a contender. Like
Yeah,
there is
I
a
don't think there's a team that can. Do you see a team that can delude themselves into being a contender?
oh, absolutely. Like the Hawks, I think can delude themselves. And by the way, that's not even a delusion. If you have Giannis and Jalen Johnson, that's a really good pairing. There's a reason why I think that like Rich Paul kind of mentioned that like, oh, maybe the Bucks should trade for Giannis. It might be the other way around. I would love for that to be the trade. I don't think I just don't understand why the Bucks would accept that compared to the Spurs giving up Stephen Castle, the Houston maybe giving up Şengün or like if you give up Şengün or Amen Thompson, that's the deal I'm shooting for, honestly. Or they didn't mention what's it called. Jay did mention the Thunder, and the Thunder are very interesting because obviously right now they're the best team in the league. But you can make the argument that like they should just trade for Giannis so no one else can trade for Giannis. So like they trade for Giannis so no they don't have to go up against Giannis, and they can probably give up like they can give up like 5 first round picks in Chet. Well, here and Ferris has this comment: Spurs aren't giving up Stephen Castle. They have 3 guards that are all really promising, which is Castle, Harper, and Fox. I think they will be willing to give up one of those 3 for Giannis, whether it's Castle or Fox or
And,
Harper.
and, and I think the Bucks would not want Fox. They want the one of the other two because
Yes,
they're
I
younger.
agree. So like the question is which one, like and like I'm happy with it's just the thing is like Castle was a huge thing to give up. I completely agree. If you're getting Giannis and you're pairing Giannis and Wemby up, I'm willing to give up a little of the future for that. Because also Giannis is, even though Giannis is not young, he's still got a lot of good years in him. I mean, in him left. Giannis, you're not like trading for KD where he's like 37 or 38. Giannis has a lot of really good years left. So if you trade for Giannis, that's the next 3 or 4 years that you're really set.
Yeah, and Jay pointing out all the young players that the Spurs have they can give up to get a Giannis.
Absolutely. Like when you're getting Giannis, you like a player like Giannis isn't usually available. So if you're able to get someone like Giannis, you kind of can give up. There's very few players that you just don't give up for Giannis. It's like if the Spurs came down to it, you're the Spurs GM, and you're like, we have to give up Steven Castle, but we guarantee we get Giannis.
But here's the question: does he come with a contract or is he free agent next year?
I think you give him the contract. You have to.
No. Does he come with the contract or is he a free agent next year?
I really hope so. But even if he doesn't come with the contract, I would do it just for the hope, because I would just be like, if I could get Giannis for, I do agree. I do agree. He would be awesome with the Knicks. I just don't think it's happening. I would I I wish it would happen. We don't have enough to give up. We don't have the young player to give up. Really, our players are not on the right timeline for the Bucks. It's really annoying, but it is what it is. Like the only way is there. The only way is maybe if Milwaukee can delude themselves into thinking Cat, Kyle Kuzma, Ryan Rollins. Maybe they trade Miles Turner for something that works better in that roster. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it's a three team trade and you trade Cat somewhere else. Oh yeah, that is true. 3 years left.
Okay, so you would have him for a couple of years. Okay.
Yeah, so if you're the Spurs and you're like, oh, you get Wemby and Giannis for 3 years, I'm kind of saying yes to that every time. I I mean, and I do agree Wemby's health is scary. So that's why, in my opinion, you have to take advantage of it while he's healthy. He at the moment is healthy this season. I'm willing to kind of push the chips in a little more and be like, try and make this roster and to compete with this. And also, the other thing is you're going up against the Thunder. The Thunder are looking like these super giants or whatever. And at the moment, no one's able to compete with them. And if you want a chance to be in that dance and to compete with them, you might need Giannis. So I'm willing to give up, even if Stephen Castle is a big ask, or Amon Thompson, or Şengün. I don't think they would give up Amon Thompson. I think they would give up Şengün, but Şengün's a huge ask. He's a top 20 player right now, and he would be like, honestly, I think Şengün might be the best case scenario for the Bucks. Correct me, Suge, if you think someone else would be a better case scenario. But if I get Şengün, that's like probably the best player.
I agree.
That's the best player you can probably get back for Giannis.
Outside of like another superstar, which I don't think.
But even then, a superstar is not going to be on the right timeline unless it's a really, really young superstar.
Yeah, I will give him. Lakers will give him LeBron. The Bucks are on LeBron. Take him. Take him and Bronny. Two one.
So the Lakers trade would probably have to be Reeves. Reeves would have to go if you want Giannis, is the thing. I don't think you get him without Reeves.
Give him Reeves, LeBron. I'll take Luka and Giannis all day. If the Thunder take Giannis, it'll be equivalent of the snap all over again. Shout out to Marvel. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say, like, if the Thunder get Giannis, and this is why I would do it if I'm the Thunder, the Thunder have shown they can win without Chet. They can win without Jalen. The only player who they really can win without, and even then we don't know because he's just been healthy. He's been Superman. Is SGA, and SGA is like on a historic run, which might cement him in the all-time top 30, top 20. Like if he wins this championship, he's going to be up there for like even like top 15 arguments and stuff like that. Just for this 2-year run is absolutely incredible. But if you're able to pair SGA with Giannis, keep either Jalen or Chet. I would keep Jalen and have Jalen, SGA, Giannis. You trade away Chet. As every single pick we have, we're trading that away for Giannis. And maybe like another player, young player or two, like Aaron Wiggins, let's say. I just don't see how that team ever loses. And I think that honestly, that might be. We were talking about the Chris Paul veto trade. If the trade for Giannis to the Thunder come across Adam Silver's desk, he might turn into Adam Stern, where it's like
No. But then the Thunder might turn into the 2000 Lakers and go on a three-peat.
they might, and honestly, good for them. But like, if Giannis goes to the Thunder, it's so brutal on so many levels. I 100% agree with Jay. It's just like I don't know how you beat that team other than injuries.
Jay saying they can win without SGA as well. I don't know how long, but short stints they can. The bench is on some 2015 Warriors.
Okay, here's a question, Shug.
Sure.
SGA, and I'm not wishing on this. SGA becomes injured a day before the playoffs, and he is, let's say, out for the season. How far do they go?
I mean, probably a second round.
At least the second round, probably. Honestly, like I could see them in the conference finals.
But if they had Giannis and he goes down, that's still a Western Conference team possibly.
Absolutely.
So
So if I were the Thunder, I would do it yesterday. Honestly, for this is just a Giannis thought. If I'm any team and I have the chance to get Giannis, there's very few teams I would say like I don't know if it's worth it. Like if I can delude my, if the Bucks call me and is like this is an offer for Giannis, unless you're trading away SGA or Wemby or Luka or someone like that, I would be like I'm probably accepting it. If you have the chance to get Giannis, you just have to get Giannis.
fair saying, I still think they make the Western Conference Finals. Okay. All right, let's move on to our next one.
Yeah, our starting five.
Our starting five for the week.
Yes.
Who needs to try a trade to turn around the season? I did my list a little different. And I
Yeah.
do mean turnaround in the sense that it can help or hurt the team. So
Oh, I did that too.
see, look at we're on the same wavelength. Look at that.
Same,
We didn't
same
even talk
way.
about it.
Wavelength.
So we're gonna go back and forth. So I'll let you
Yes.
start, then I'll give my team. Go ahead.
So I had the Bucks for obvious reasons. Did you as well?
I did too.
I'm like at this point, it's like yeah, you can't be this bad and then keep Giannis, in my opinion. So we went over that very in depth.
Yeah. But do you think they could trade for somebody to make the team a? Because I did it both ways. I said either trade Giannis or you bring in a second star to make the team better.
I just wonder what that trade is, if that makes sense. And maybe it's Jalen Johnson. We've said that name a couple times. I would love that if I'm a Bucks fan. But I don't know what you have to give up other than Giannis. It's like, who cares about your draft picks? You have Giannis. You're going to be fine. You're not going to be the worst team in the league. I don't really care about your draft picks. I don't really care about Miles Turner or Kyle Kuzma. Maybe the best player you can give up is Ryan Rollins. Is that the place where we're at?
Yeah, probably.
So what type of star do you get from that type of like Kyle Kuzma, Miles Turner plus picks trade? I don't really know.
Yeah, it'd be. I don't really know. I mean, unless you get John Morant from the
Yeah,
Grizzlies.
and Ferris is right. Trades could involve multiple teams, but what I would quickly say about that is that those I feel like are so hard to predict. It's like those are fantasy in a way. Well, like, yes, they do happen, but like it's so hard to predict a 3-team trade that like works for everyone and is realistic. So what I'll quickly say is like there is one superstar that maybe the Bucks can trade for, and is my number 2 team that on my list is the Memphis Grizzlies right now are not having a good season. And they might want to field some calls for John Morant and see if they can maybe sell high. I'm not sure how he fits with this roster, especially if they're not winning. He may be the one superstar the Bucks can buy low on, and the pair of Giannis and Ja, that might be able to work out. But in general, I think with Memphis is not having a good season. I think the Ja relationship is starting to sour, and I would trade him to get something while I can. I think Memphis is deep enough where they can lose Ja for a year or two and retool very quickly, or maybe trade JJJ and Ja and like really retool. Because in this West, you're not going to be able to do it with Ja and JJJ at the way the Memphis is playing right now. I'll throw out a couple of teams that I think would be interesting. The Heat could trade for John Morant, like a Hero or Jaime Jaquez plus picks could be interesting. The Grizzlies have been thrown around a lot, where they trade a Naz Reid, Conley, and maybe Dillingham or picks, depending on if you give up Dillingham or not. And that way, you're able to have Anthony Edwards and Ja on the same team, and that way you can be like those two together are going to be so dynamic. And then I think the Celtics might be interesting. Like if the Celtics are doing very well right now, if they want to improve on their guard spot and trade like Simons plus Hauser plus Xavier Tillman plus 2 picks for John Morant, I think that'd be very interesting because you're getting that improvement on the Simmons spot, and then you could have Payne Pritchard come off the bench. I think that'd be very interesting. So those are the three teams, like trades I just threw out there just quickly because I think the Jaw trade is interesting. But I think Memphis just kind of needs. They're not going anywhere at the moment, and they need to maybe sell into now before Jaw's value tanks more than it already has, or even JJ and just completely retool.
Yes, sir. Yes, we know. We know. Josh already commented on that.
Well, yeah, I saw the comment and
I know, I'm giving fans a hard time. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and I also had the Grizzlies on there too. Either the same trade John Morant, or do you bring in a I said a vet to help stabilize and maybe bring this team back to form. Um, but it'd be hard to bring, like, what vet do you bring into the Grizzlies?
Well, the good thing about the Grizzlies is they do have a lot of young, interesting players they can probably trade. Like Jalen Wells is actually pretty solid. Scottie Pippen Jr. is okay. GG Jackson, I think, is okay. Vince Williams. They have a lot of like assets they could probably trade. The player I'd be looking for, I'm not sure who this would be, is when the Knicks traded for OG Anunoby. He was so awesome for the team and fixed a lot of holes. I don't know who the next OG Anunoby is, but a player like that is just a very solid player that meshes well with everyone, adds team chemistry, does all the good like little things well. That's the type of player you want to look for if you're the Grizzlies and if you're trading to try and like salvage the season. In that sense, I'm just not sure who that would be off the top of my head. Maybe that's Jalen Johnson. Maybe someone like DeAndre Hunter if the Cavs want to do something weird, and maybe it is like the Heat and Jaime Jaquez Jr. or someone like that. Like those Heat players also kind of are very normally well tuned and good with team chemistry and do the little things well. It's going to be interesting to see what direction the Grizzlies do because I don't think they can stay put. I agree with you. They have to either go more all in or retool completely. And for up to me, I'd retool completely.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, what's your next team?
My next team is the Bulls, and kind of the same situation uh, that I was saying about the Grizzlies. Do you trade? Do you bring in? No, actually, not the same as Grizzlies. Do you bring in a second star, or do you bring in a vet? Because team has a lot of young teams, a lot of young players. My apologies. With Kobe White being your star, do you need to bring in a vet to pair with him? Because I think this is still a young team. They're 10-14, but they can improve maybe with the vet. Um, Maybe a better point guard. Uh, I don't
Well,
know
Giddy
about
has
John
been
Henry.
having a good season. To be fair, Giddy has been having a good season.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, do you need something else? Do you because you're 10-14. Last
Had
year,
a
I
really
think
good start to the season too, and then they fell apart.
yeah. So I mean, what do you think could improve the Bulls?
I think what I would maybe look to improve is like I think I'm okay with Gideon White as the backcourt. I think what I would probably look to do, and I think Matas has been a very interesting 3/4. I think Vooch is a little old, and I would see if you can maybe get a younger Vooch in a way if you're going the contending route. But the Bulls are in a weird situation because they feel like they're shooting from the middle. And even if they do make that type of trade where they're like more all in, it feels like, oh, yeah, you're making an improvement to be the 7 seed and lose in the first round to the Knicks or the Pistons or the Celtics. It's like This is a team that I don't know what to do with because they're right now in the play-in spot, or around the play-in spot. They have a okay amount of young talent, but they also have some veteran players, and it's just a lot of mediocrity. And it's like they're not bad enough to be able to be in the number one pick discussion. And I don't think you trade. It makes sense to like try and be in that number one, to do the same hinky tank. But I'm not also sure it makes sense to be like, oh, we're going to go all in on this team that is kind of mediocre and has like a lot of middling players. Um, I don't know if adding one star or adding one improvement really does it. All right, and Suge just had to go to the bathroom. So while Suge goes to the bathroom, I will do one of my teams, which is let's go with the Spurs because we talked a bit about the Spurs. The la- we talked about the Spurs a bit during the Giannis segment, but the Spurs have so much young talent. And if I'm the Spurs and I have Wemby, I want to take advantage of every single year Wemby is healthy. And the fact that we're finally going to be in the playoffs, we have this multitude of young talent. If we can like get a really big improvement, Giannis was thrown around, but if we trade someone like one of those three guards, if we keep maybe Harper and Castle, trade Fox for someone like Fox plus Barnes for a really good player, or some sort of improvement. We have a bunch of picks. I would start using those first round picks to get that improvement because if I'm the Spurs, I don't know how many years Wemby's healthy. And welcome back, Shug. Just letting I moved on to the Spurs, which is one of my teams. I think the Spurs should
Okay.
go all, in my opinion, because if I'm the Spurs, I'm trying to take advantage of every single year Wemby's healthy. Wemby's having an awesome season, and he's a little injured right now, but hopefully he'll be healthy for the playoffs. The way I view it with the Spurs is I'm not keeping those draft picks to draft players. I'm going to trade away those draft picks, maybe one of the three guards, whether it's Harper, Castle, or Fox. If you're getting Giannis, you probably have to give up Harper or Castle. But if you're not getting Giannis, you give up Fox, maybe some draft picks, Harrison Barnes, and get like a really solid, really good player. Like I think that like it's okay to push your chips all in when you have this player like Wemby because even if it doesn't work out, you can always rely on like, well, we have this 7'5" alien that will always make us at least somewhat competitive.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Do you like copy my list? Because I literally, outside of the Bulls, we've had the same list. So I'm wondering what our fifth was. Because I agree with you 100% with the Spurs about going all in and trying to become that contender and possibly taking over the third or fourth spot from the Lakers and the Rockets, especially when you have a player like Wemby. And like you said, so many young players, you can give up something and get a solid player back and turn that into a possible 2 or 3 seed in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And also, we should also quickly say if you're in that 4 or the 5 slot, that's kind of a danger slot because you kind of don't want to meet the Thunder in the second round. So if you're in that 4 and 5 slot, you might be more aggressive to get into the 3 seed because the 3 seed versus the 4 seed when you have to deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder, huge, huge, huge difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what's your next team?
I said the Pelicans because so I had the Bucks, Bulls, Grizzlies, Spurs, Pelicans. Kind of the same thing. Do you trade Zion, or do you get for some picks and younger players, or do you try to fix it? And I don't think you can fix the Pelicans, to be honest with you. So I think you kind of go in all in on trying to get some picks and younger players, and you trade Zion, maybe Jose, and I mean, there's really who else on that team would you trade outside of those all of those two players? Jordan Poole, no,
Maybe Herb Jones, maybe Trey Murphy. Like the two people you have to keep is Fears and Queen. Those are the two teams you have to build around. But everyone else, you can maybe make the argument is kind of up for sale.
yeah, maybe make some trades. You got
Oh, actually,
Murray.
if I was a team and I'm in possibly contending and I might need a guard that can score, I kind of like Jordan Hawkins. I think Jordan Hawkins is a really interesting player that, like, if you put him on a good team, that I think would be really interesting. I can't wait for the Pelicans, by the way, to give their first round pick to Atlanta. And it's going to be like the number one pick. I can't wait for that.
Jay saying, "Man, it doesn't matter what the Pelicans do. They failed Chris Paul. They failed the AD and Cousins pairing, and they're about to fail Queen." Shaking my head. Yeah, very disappointing.
So there's two teams we differed on our lists,
Okay,
basically, and I haven't said these two teams yet. One,
go ahead.
the Dallas Mavericks.
I
I think.
had them. I
Oh,
had
you
them. I did have them, but they were like six because I thought the Spurs and Pelicans were ahead of. So it's
yes.
funny. So okay, we agree on the Mavs.
I think the Mavs just need to be on the Cooper Flag timeline. I think even though they're starting to win a bit more, I think that like you can maybe get some decent return for Anthony Davis now, and it's not going to be the same return that of Luka Doncic, and you might have to bite your loss. But like, I think there are some teams that would be desperate to kind of push their chips in. For example, the Pistons. The Pistons in 80, I think, would be a really interesting, and as a Knicks fan, very scary thing if they were to do that. I also think they have to move on from Klay Thompson. I think Klay Thompson just doesn't fit as well with this team. I think you might make a choice between Gafford and Lively. I'm not sure if both of them make sense, but like I would retool this team to get a little younger and a little more focused on Cooper Flag because I don't think Gafford, Lively, and Cooper Flag all make sense on the same team. I'm not. I think Clay's been a bit rough lately, and I think I would just almost like you would by getting rid of Clay. I think that might be addition by subtraction for the Mavs. And then with AD, if you can get a really good haul for him, I think. Um, and again, the question is, Jay makes a good point about about Kawhi. Wait, no, Kyrie. My
Kyrie.
brain just stopped working. Kyrie being injured is like I would have to keep that in mind as well. But I think in general, it's just like we're on the Cooper Flag timeline now, and we have to be not contending this year, but contend. Lively to the Lakers would be a really good fit, I would say. If the Lakers, like, if there's a dream move I would make, Lively to the Lakers would be a really, or even Gafford. I think Gafford would be a really good fit with you guys.
And
So
the
Gafford,
and the Dallas fans would be more pissed off. Okay, we don't want to. They already hate the Lakers now, and now you want to piss them off even more.
well, maybe you can get Connect off them and like Connect. I'm a Connect fan. I think that they would be happy with him. The other team I have is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
And the reason I have the Cleveland Cavaliers is right there. I think they're like the 6 or 7 seed. They are not the top three seeds. I think you have to push your chips in, or you might have to retool a little because like I think you need to make some more small improvements because if you can't win the East this year, and I love the Knicks, but the East is very gettable. You're not going up against any Nuggets or Oklahoma City Thunder. If you can't win the East this year with this squad, then I don't know what you're doing if you're Cleveland. If I'm Cleveland, I push my chips all in this year. I would maybe like we're talking about the Grizzlies. Maybe I don't haven't done this in the trade machine yet, but maybe a Jared Allen for a JJJ trade and have Jared Allen, JJJ and Evan Mobley together being twin towers basically. Maybe getting some sort of improvement or something like that in a small area. But if I'm the Cavs and I'm not a top 3 seed in the East, and I'm not contending for this East in a year where the East is so weak, that's a huge red flag and a huge problem.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you. I think I definitely agree with you about the Mavs. I think they're just not going anywhere. And I think you're right. The Clay Thompson is ran out. AD is you're not going to get the return that you got traded for Luka Doncic, so you might as well cut your losses there. And you're right. Just go on the Cooper Flag. We're going to go all in on him in the next couple of years and build a team around him.
And like this team, I think can if you trade AD and Clay, you can maybe retool to the point where you're legitimate contenders in a year or two, or in like year 3 or year 4 of Cooper Flag. But you have to be able to be built that way because right now the way they're built is a lot of win now moves and not a lot of like maybe in a couple of years we'll be able to win.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That was a great. I liked our picks. We're on the same wavelength.
Yes.
Most of the time. Um, the Other than in this topic, is there anything else like maybe a team that you have on the fringe that you might think about?
I think the one that we haven't talked about that actually will make a move is the Toronto Raptors. I think the Toronto Raptors will do something. I'm not sure what, but I think they will maybe like try and upgrade RJ Barrett for someone, RJ Barrett and picks, or like I'm not sure who, but they have a lot of players where it would be appealing for both contending teams and also like can maybe upgrade for like I wouldn't even be surprised if they're the Zion team, honestly. Like I think that would be very interesting. The Raptors are the first that come to mind. But other than that, I think those we covered all the main ones for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously the Lakers for me, but I don't know what the Lakers could do, or like you said, Lively or somebody from the Mavs possibly. But
Well,
outside
the
of that,
Lakers,
like
it feels like they need to make a small but good move, if that makes sense. Someone like Lively or Gafford. No, it may not be those two because, and yeah, the Raptors do have good pieces, like Jay is saying. But if the Lakers are going to make a move, it's not going to be like a superstar move. It might be like
no,
some
it can't. It can't
improvement,
be a. Yeah, it'd be an improvement
just some sort of small improvement in the bench or the center or something defensively.
or 3-point shooting. I think we need 3-point shooting
That's a good
consistently.
call out as well. Yeah.
So, all right, Josh. I mean, another great week. We'll be back after Christmas. We'll kind of know who the NBA Cup champion is going to be.
Yeah, the New
Hopefully,
York
it's the
Knicks. You're right.
Knicks. Hopefully, the Knicks. And then we'll start to get into close to All Star season or All Star break. I don't even remember what is All Star break. January, February, March. I don't know.
One of the three. We'll figure it out. I mean,
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
what's called, we're taking this one day at a time, and
No,
so
I
like
say because right now I'm about to go into football playoff mode
I
very
know
soon.
I'm there too. Not as a Giants fan, but I'm. This is
Well,
an
the
off.
Giants are never in the playoffs, so we ain't never got to worry about it.
No, but when we
Uh,
are in the playoffs, we win the Super Bowl.
there you go.
The
There
two
you
years
go.
we were out of our like we the 2 out of the 4 years we were.
There you go. Before we get out of here, Josh, you want to let everybody know where they can find you on all the socials and any other shows you be doing?
Absolutely. So you can find me on the Nostalgia Crackdown, which is on the post credits channel where we talk about the Schmodown and go over a Schmodown topic once a month. We just did one recently about the wild berries. That was a very interesting debate. We had a great guest on with Chris Engel. You can find me here on the post credits show, and I'm not really on social media anymore, but like just supporting LGR is supporting me. So any way you support LGR is supporting me. And
That's
hopefully,
awesome.
maybe I'll be on. I'm right now in the fantasy playoffs in our fantasy league, which you can join by joining the Patreon or getting a coffee. What's it called? I just snuck into the 6th seed. I'm probably going to get my doors blown off, but maybe you'll see me as the fantasy champ. You know,
Every one of my players got hurt. I lost by
good in
point two
mind.
points. I lost by point 2 points because points were taken away from me. Like it's just been a crappy year this year. Okay, I don't want to talk about fantasy football. Yes, the nostalgia crackdown. I'm going to talk to Adelia because I want to jump on that with you one day and
Yes.
talk about because I missed the Schmodown. It's one of my favorite times of my life. That's how we started this whole thing. So it'll be dope to revisit that one day. But yeah, make sure to check those shows out. Josh does a great job on those shows, and he does a great job here. You'll find us here again in next month. So come hang out. Really appreciate everybody that supports. Make sure to check the links below if you want to support us anyway. Merch is out. I just bought. I don't know if you, Josh. I was actually kind of upset at Ferris. He got a Steel Conspiracy shirt before I did. So I ordered my Steel Conspiracy shirt. I ordered my LGRN shirt. My next shirt I'm gonna buy is the Step Back. Probably a sweater. So I'll buy that.
Yes.
So the merch is fire. Go check it out. It really helps us. And it's just dope. Christmas is around the corner. It's cold. Everybody's complaining about how it's like -4 or 20 degrees. It's a nice 75 here in California. So I don't need a sweater yet, but I am going to wear my Steel Conspiracy shirt or my Step Back shirt. So make sure there's the link right there. Check it out. It's really dope. Make sure to check out the other links and check out the website. Adelia puts a lot of work into it. Make sure to check it out. Really appreciate it. Make sure to comment, like, share the video, hit us up on all the socials. Really appreciate everybody that's hanging out in the chat. Josh, always appreciate your good insight and commentary on basketball. Really appreciate you, buddy. I hope
You too.
everyone. Hope everyone. This will be. We'll see you next month. So I hope everyone
Yep.
has a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Be safe, and we will talk to y'all later.